Hey, what's up? This is Sane. I'm doing another tutorial on Trials. As I said, I know it was my last tutorial, but I want to create these tutorials to help people out. Every time I learn something in the editor, as I said again, um, I want to share it with myself for the future. If I forget, I can look back on it and see what I did, and to help everyone else as well. So I've made ladder climbing technology in the Trials editor differently than how most people do it. There's someone called Lords of Fire or something like that who makes really cool FPSs, and he makes like AIs and all these different types of maps on Xbox One, I think, or Xbox 360, I forget. And there's a lot of other people who've done FPSs in the past, like Trials Evolution. I don't know if they're still around, but yeah, that's what they've done. Maybe they migrated into video game design. Since I am making video games, I'm always gonna do stuff in the Trials editor, because in the Trials editor I could express stuff and I could recreate my favorite video game worlds how I want, with no bullshit, of course. So, pretty much here is ladder climbing technology. So what's going to happen here, I'll give you a visual representation. What's going to happen is I wanted to make a ladder climbing technology where it is a first person game. It's a Zelda map. So it's fun. It's not supposed to be super realistic. Even if it's super realistic, so you have the option to attach and unattach anytime you want from your character. And since following OPEs on and off are really clunky in the editor, I wanted to make it a little bit differently, right? So what's going to happen, they're like little lift systems, and the lift systems are going to play as the trick, saying that, oh, I'm going to climb the ladder. But problem is, you see those invisible walls? What's going to happen, if the player is in contact with that invisible wall, the lift will disable to its default position. And that's what we're going to explain in this video. We're going to start with the one in the bottom, because the one in the bottom is shorter. The one in the top is just double the length. That's all it is. It's the same code. So we're going to reset. Okay. So just grab any invisible wall. I have a ladder behind here, for those who don't know. Make sure the ladder behind is decoration only. The physics do collide with each other. Okay? So what's going to happen here is there's going to be an invisible platform. So let's go to the logic. Take a photo of this logic. Somebody popped online. That's great. Great quality already. Not disturb. Alright, so do not disturb means that notifications don't pop up. So what's going to happen here is the code string for the ladder climbing technology. Okay, so I used a jointed wall here. That's basically what I used. It's a glue wall, I mean, not a jointed wall. So my game character speed is 9,000, so I made it 400. So when you're in the I'm gonna grab a interval trigger, set it to 1 tick, so I can give power to my generic filter. Make sure my generic filter is set to greater. If it's greater than 400, it will activate the elevator. If it's less than 400, it will disable the elevator. Make sure your comparison value is obviously the game character speed. Okay. On false and on true and on false. So pretty much what's going to happen here is this is a following OPE. Your following OPE is going to be connected to your lift system, which is up here. It's highlighted blue. Okay? And then you're going to select the wall. So I'm going to go in and select the wall right here. Just the wall. The reason why the wall is there, so when you're climbing up the ladder, right, you won't go left and right, so it's not really an obstacle. So you just go up the ladder, and then you could disconnect anytime you want. You can walk back at any time. Make sure the walls are not too ingrained into your character, or else it's going to force him to not come off. It's kind of like that at mine, but I don't really care. It works. So you have to have a certain amount of forward directional speed in order for this to activate, or it's not going to activate the animation. Make sure you have 2 hit triggers. Make sure your object instances 1 is the player, right? And your object instances 2 is the actual wall itself. Okay? Or else it's not going to work. Make sure your on and your off is going to be the generic filter. So it's going to turn on and off the generic filter, because when you turn it, when you're on hit, it's going to work. When you off, the generic filter is turned off, so it's going to reset the elevator, if that makes sense. I chose and this is how the animation works, an inverl trigger, right? I did position Y, and then I said looping, so it works constantly, reset when disabled. It takes 2 seconds to go up, it's the speed of the ladder climb, and I chose 3.60 for a more direct value for my animation. So it's going to happen on true, the animation will turn on. When you leave the ladder, it will reset back to default original value, so it's going to turn off, but I also told it to reset when disabled, so it's going to go back to the original position. So it means on looping means it's off, but it's going to reset. So you just created an elevator that works as a double functioning animation. Okay? You could do this vice versa. I have a elevator, 1 hour elevator tutorial, how to make a realistic elevator up and down sequence if you want to watch that. But this is an alternate way to do it too if you don't want to go through all the work, of course. You're following OPE, of course, right? Make sure your X is X, your Y is this one, and then your Z is that one. Make sure your operand 1 is Y, and your operand 2 is this. What's going to happen here is that wall you saw that's following the game character is going to go, when the player is in contact with the wall, it's going to make a wall, and then when it's not in contact, the wall is going to be animated downwards on set values. So instantly it's going to go high and then low, high and then low, high and then low. And what that does, it's like a following OP coordinate. It's almost like the first person game, but except this, it's almost like the jump button, except we're not making a jump, we're making a wall that prevents you from cheating. Or not from cheating, but prevents you from climbing the ladder more casually than to like balancing in a little cube to climb up the ladder. So it makes it more casual ladder climb. And it's the same thing applied for the top one. So hopefully that was, useful. And make sure you turn off the trigger in the beginning. So when you're having contact with it, it just turns on, it's automatic. It saves more time and space and logic. We're going to go test out the skill game. Okay. We're going to turn off buttons. And we're going to climb the ladder. Okay, so when you climb the ladder, we're going to go up. And then we could do it again. And then we could do it again. And then we can go up the ladder and then come off. You see? See what I'm saying? Same thing with this one. Let's climb the ladder. Jump down. Climb the ladder again. Okay, and if you're watching the last video, that's how I positioned my gravity. Let's see in editor mode. So in editor mode, we're a little ball that rolls, okay, with force. Okay, and all these little calculations everywhere, okay? So what's going to happen here is, again, the lift is going to go up and there's going to be walls. You see that? Same thing with this one. Walls. The same thing again, the walls. And see what happens with the walls is The terrible thing about the walls is the walls will prevent you from going back, so it's actually even easier. Okay, but make sure the walls are not... Right, it's a little clunky, but with tweaking, you'll get this to work. I'm just teaching you how to do it, of course. So that's how you make a ladder climbing technology in the Trials editor. Now you know. Sometimes it's just a trick in order to make something work. Hey, if it works, it's valid. So that's how you make ladder climbing technology in the Trials editor. And I'm going to take a photo of this, because I forgot to take a photo for the other video. For gravity modification. And yeah. So that's the FPS I'm making Zelda Skyloft from Zelda. I'm probably going to get copyrighted because I'm going to use the music. And yeah. That's the end of my tutorial. And then my button codes, right? Those are all the button codes for to implement your own buttons in the instructions. So you can implement those button codes and they'll act as buttons. If you do it on Xbox or PlayStation, doesn't matter how you input them. You input them like that, they'll work on a cross-platform. Doesn't matter what you do. Alright, so I'm saying the legend, that was the end of my tutorial. And if I learn any more tricks, I'll make a new tutorial. I'll be uploading these twice on Custom Designs and on my YouTube channel. So I could help people twice as much. If you want to find existing tutorials, go to my Custom Designs. I linked both playlists in there, right? My Master 9000 playlist and my Custom Designs playlist is there for tutorials. So if you're having trouble finding playlists on my Master 9000, because I do have a lot of videos on there, on various different games, go to my Custom Designs and you'll find all the tutorials there, right there and there. And I'll be continuing doing this map on a live stream on my Twitch. My Twitch is Sane the Legend Twitch, and I usually never talk during the stream because I usually like to focus on my map. So if you ask me questions, message me on YouTube or something on a video, and I'll answer your question there. But other than that, yeah, later.